I'm Lori Foster. We're at the Reader and Author Get Together 2019. This is our 15th year anniversary, and this is a Harlequin panel. So I write for Harlequin single title, but there's many, many lines and imprints within Harlequin. We're going to start down at the end, and the authors will introduce themselves and say what it is they write for within Harlequin.
Hi, I'm Melinda Curtis, and I used to write for Harlequin Super Romance. Now I write for Harlequin Heartwarming. And here's my latest release here.
I'm Susan Meier. I write for Harlequin Romance. I've written over 70 books, so I might have written the books that your mom read. I didn't bring a cover with me, sorry.
Hi, my name is Naima Simone, and I write for Harlequin Desire. And this is my debut book, The Billionaire's Bargain.
Hi, I'm Jules Bennett. I don't know why that was so funny, but it was. I'm Jules Bennett, and I write for Desire and Special Edition. Combined, I've written about 75, 76 books. This is my one that is coming out next month. I have a special edition out this month, but Married in Name Only is from Desire next month.
Okay, and then I'm going to start with you, and we'll go on back down the line. So you already said how many you've written for Harlequin, right? Do you write anything outside of Harlequin?
So that number is combined, yes. I write for Kensington as well. I write single title for Kensington, and I've done some novellas for other publishing houses as well.
Awesome. And then also tell us what the Desire, so people who are looking at all the different Harlequin lines, what sort of encapsulates Desire?
So Desire is more like the show Dynasty. There's just a lot of family drama, a lot of conflict. And then the special edition line I write is more, it's just small town, home and hearth kind of. It can get a little sexy. It's such a wide range in that line. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just a fun line. They're both fun lines to write for. It's good to bounce back and forth.
Yeah. Yes, basically same question. Just so what the Desire, because I know the Harlequin Temptations used to be because that's what I used to write. They were like the sexiest of the category books, but Desire is not quite that, right? Or is it? I don't know anymore.
Mine are.
Yes.
They're not Dare, but they're like Dare's little sister.
Okay,
like, for me.
And say what Dare is so people know, because I don't think anyone here writes
Dare is like the erotic romance
within the
line
Harlequin.
within Harlequin, and they're good. This is My Desire is my first one with Harlequin, but I have 20 other books. I also write for Entangled Publishing, and I write contemporary as well as erotic romance. But so this kind of straddles the line of both of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I write for Harlequin Romance, and we recently had a realignment of our line. Used to be the hallmark of Harlequin Romance was that they were sweeter stories. And about 2 years ago, we edged into what they call glitz and glamour, where we have people doing a lot of jet setting around Europe and around the world. And they decided last month to take that to the next level. And so our books will now, after I think 50 years of having closed door sex scenes, we will now have open door sex scenes, which is, I know everybody gasps when they hear that, like, no, you're not going to write sex. Yes, I can. My mother's no longer with us, so I can now put sex in my books. But that's the big news for Harlequin Romance this year.
Wow, no, I was gasping because Harlequin Romance has been, the sweeter line. That's pretty amazing. So I have written 35 books for Harlequin, and the Super Romance line, which is no more, kind of morphed into a little bit more of what Heartwarming is today, which is emotional stories that are, well, mine are more lighthearted than emotional stories, so no angsty. And there is no bedroom. Like, there's not even a door to close. Which, when I went from writing sex scenes to having none, it's really hard to keep the physical attraction and the zing up and have them fall in love that way. So
A lot of long looks.
it's like
touching hands.
It's like Hallmark movies, which they can only have one kiss in, right? We can have more kisses than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that you need to work around.
This is fascinating because it's all changed so much. So back when I was writing, because I write single title now, but back when I was writing category, they were pushing us. But this was temptation. They were always pushing for more and more and more sex. So the first one that I got that sold, I think my first sex scene was in like the 4th chapter, and everyone told me it was too sexy and it would never sell. And this is why I don't ever take advice from someone that's can't buy your book. And then when it finally sold, they said, "Can you move that sex scene as close to page 1 as possible?" Sure. Open right there in the middle of it if you want.
Yeah. I think the first heartwarming that I wrote, I had a kiss within the first 50 pages because I was used to that kind of pace of things progressing. And the editor said, "Yeah, we might have a problem there. Can you move this back?"
Yeah, slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So how many lines are in Harlequin now? Does anybody know? I can't keep track because Harlequin constantly sort of reinvents itself to go with society changes and what's going on in the world, right? I think, don't they? Does it seem that way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I think it's around 12. It seems like there's around 12. There was a video conference call with them last month, I believe, and it seems like there were about 12. You know, you pay attention to the line that you write for.
Right. Yeah. So you can pass it on down. So here's my thing and still to this day, I don't know what anybody else is doing. So people will say, "Well, you know, so-and-so has this agent or that." And I'm like, "No, I know what I'm doing and that's all I know. I don't know anything else." Sounds like you sort of keep track of Harlequin. I mean, like you really seem to have a grasp on the.
I think it's because I have a lot of friends who are Harlequin authors. We were talking before we started. I used to go to about 5 different conferences a year. And so I had friends at the New England chapter group and friends in the Florida group because their conference is in February and I live in Pennsylvania. So I had all kinds of friends. And we would get together and talk about the different things in the lines and what everybody is doing. But the truth of the matter is, you're probably doing the right thing because everybody has to have their own identity, their own brand. You have to understand who you are as an author, what you write well and what you don't write well. And I was only half kidding when I said about writing sex because I haven't put sex in a book since 1989. No.
I was going to say, boy, that's specific. She remembers when she last did that.
It was my second book. But anyway, you have to know your own brand. And you have to know how to make your brand mesh with the Harlequin line because they will do the advertising in terms of like the kind of cover that you get and the kind of back cover blurb you get and shelf placement and placement within any periodicals where they're advertising. So as long as you can make your brand mesh with the particular line or the specific line that you're writing for, you'll always fall under that umbrella and you'll find the readers you're supposed to find. You don't ever want a whole slew of people writing to you saying, "I didn't like your book because they went to Ireland and I'm not particularly fond of Ireland," or whatever nitpicky thing they could find. You always want people writing to you saying, "That was exactly what I wanted to read." And the best way to do that is to have the correct brand and to be within the correct line so that you find the right readers so they love you. Because that's what you want. And then they come back and buy your next book.
Mm-hmm. So maybe for a new author, they should read the different lines and see which one they're most drawn to write.
Oh, yes. The one that they most identify with, the one that they can write the best. It's sort of a weird thing because before I wrote, I was an avid reader and I read Desires more than anything else. And you would have thought that I would have been more of a sexier writer, but it turns out that I have a very sweet voice. And within the past couple of, probably the last 10 years, the terminology for sweet has shifted to where you can have a sweet romance that still has love scenes in it, but the tone of the book is very sweet. It's very emotional and I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to use the word clean. Wholesome. It's very wholesome tone. So you can still have a sweet romance with sexy scenes in it. So I always sort of rode the line of between having a book that didn't have sex in it, but also was very sexy. So the only way you're ever going to determine what kind of book you're going to like to read or what kind of book you're going to like to write is to read all of the lines. And once you narrow it down to 2 or 3 lines, then narrow it down again and narrow it down again. And Harlequin is a company that very kindly gives us guidelines. You can go on harlequin.com and you can get guidelines for each of the individual lines. So once you've read and you think you've decided what you like to write and what you can write, then get the guidelines to make sure that you make your book as close to what they're looking for as possible.
And then, how do you pronounce your name again?
Naima.
Naima. Okay, so Naima, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Things have changed a lot society-wise, women's movements and all this. Have you felt any pressure to write your female characters any differently? I know a lot of authors have told me lately that they don't want to write, that they have to somewhat alter their voice, and this may not apply to anyone here, to make more empowered women or to tone down alpha males. Have you felt any of that pressure at all?
Not for me, because I've always written empowered women and strong women. I can't stand a doormat heroine.
Yeah, me either.
So to write one, I remember one time I did that early on in my career. My editor cut me off at the knees by telling me my heroine was too stupid to live, so I never wrote a heroine like that again. But as far as like, the Me Too movement and, just women coming into their own and being seen as, strong heroines in themselves without the hero needing to save them, I think I've always written that. So it wasn't really a shift for me. It's just making like things like consent more clear.
Yeah, so that's one of the big things, I think. It can't be a seduction at all anymore.
Right. Well, I use, because of what I write, I use dialogue a lot to make that very clear. And also, as far as alpha heroes, I love an alpha hole. So I do. I love them. I know that's probably not politically correct.
No, I love them too. And that's what I write. And a lot of authors I know do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have to just find a way he can still be an alpha hole and still be very dominant, but not overbearing or not just encroaching on her rights. He just has to make sure that she is all on board. And
I feel like the term alpha got hijacked anyway, because an alpha is not a jerk.
No,
an alpha
it's
is
not.
the person that will step up when everybody else is going, what are we going to do?
Yes.
He
takes
so
charge.
Yeah, so I feel like there was a bad alpha somewhere, gave a bad name
Right.
to all alphas, and
Right.
what would we do without them?
I probably wouldn't read. So.
Yeah, me too. You don't want to have the guy that's in the corner crying, waiting for someone to come save him?
No. I have no use for him.
Right,
I need a man who will grab her and say, "Come here, woman," and
Hey, okay, she said it. So.
and a hero who might be just a complete, like, I don't want to say jerk, but he's very commanding, very dominant, but to everybody else. And nobody else may even like him because he might be even a little ruthless and a little merciless. But to his woman, to his heroine, he's like a marshmallow to her. And she might be the only one who sees that side of him.
I like that guy too, but I also like the guy that has a good moral compass.
Oh, absolutely.
So he can come off really brusque and take charge like that, but he's never going to kick a dog. He's never going to ignore an injured child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He has his own, I love a hero who has his own moral code and he stays by it and he sticks to it, and there's a line he won't cross.
Right.
And even if he's like I've read a book where the hero was an assassin, and like, how can you make a hero an assassin? But he wasn't. But he had this code.
He was killing people that really needed killing.
He really did. I'm not
doing the world a
where's
favor.
The camera? I'm not endorsing vigilantes, but they needed it.
Yeah, right there. I'm sort of a vigilante bent anyway. I think okay, so Jules, I've known her for I don't want to say long because you're so young and I'm so old, but I've known you since
old.
No, you're not
Old.
But I've known you for quite a while now. We're friends. She hangs out. So I remember when you were still early, hadn't yet gotten published. When did you first get published?
It was the same year my oldest was born, 2005.
Yeah, that's a good way.
That's the only way I know.
And how many books do you publish a year now, do you think?
Anywhere between 6 to 8.
I know, that's insane, right?
It's insane.
I know. And
I'm
it'll
tired.
eventually,
Do I look tired?
I would, because I used to do the same thing, and I would say that that's going to eventually calm down, but Christine Feehan writes 6 books a year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think she's ever going to stop writing 6 books a year. I know,
I
really big
honestly
books.
did. I slowed down for a few months, and it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
It's just not who I am. I can't stand idle time.
Yeah.
And my
But
husband.
you've got 2 kids.
I
You don't
do.
have idle
There's no
time.
idle time, but there's been times my husband's like, just come in and sit down for 5 minutes and do nothing. And I'm sitting there. And he's like, it's driving you crazy, isn't it? Yes. I just don't like it.
Yeah. So when you take it, like I know if I take a vacation, I miss writing. So I enjoy the vacation while I'm there, but so often I'm thinking about what I'm
I
going
take
to
my
write.
laptop and I work on vacation.
Even on vacation?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I have to.
I don't care where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's my laptop's with
You
me.
and Nora.
I
Roberts.
take it with me. I mean, even if I get 20 minutes a day, it's 20 minutes that I got. I equate it to exercise. If
Yeah.
you just do a little bit all the time, think of what you have done. So yeah, I take it. I work on my birthday. I don't care what day it is. I will get in 20 minutes at least.
Yeah, that's good. So how many hours a day do you normally write when you're not on vacation?
Actual writing time, probably 6, but there's so much other stuff that goes in.
Well, and it changes, right? So if the kids have stuff in school,
Right.
you have to be there. Because I know
Right.
you're very involved like I was when my kids
Yes.
were young.
Yes.
And things like that
Yeah.
happen. But
And that's good. I mean, I love my job to have that flexibility. So
I know we write in our pajamas.
I
and
write in my pajamas.
No one can see us. And
yeah.
Bra.
yeah, I know. Barefoot, dog in your lap if you want.
Right.
Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, I saw. That's okay.
Was that subtle?
No. So anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, when we start getting close to the end, Dawn gives me a let's wrap it up. That's just letting me know that we're getting close to the end. We're not supposed to point at him and go, look.
I tapped your leg. I just happened to smack the table on my way.
Okay, so let's see. What else do we cover with Harlequin? Is there anything new at Harlequin that anyone's aware of? I know my editor was going to write me back and tell me all the new stuff, and she just didn't. So I'm going to give her heck later. But okay, let's toss that down there.
All right, so Harlequin has been making some of their series books into movies over the past 2 years, and they notified me in April that one of my books is going to be made into a movie.
Woo! All right.
So I'm going to be visiting the set sometime this summer. Get to bring my husband along. We don't normally get to bring our significant others or our kids where we go, right?
Can you say which book?
It's Dandelion Wishes, which is a series I'm no longer writing for Harlequin, but yay!
Yeah.
And today they sent to all their authors an announcement that they are now branding themselves as a Harlequin production, the Harlequin Production Studio.
Oh, nice.
And they're going to be making 20 of their books a year into TV movies. So that's pretty
Fantastic.
exciting for both readers and authors that a lot of authors want to see their books made into movies, and that's pretty exciting. I have seen my script, and it's what I would say it's based on the book.
That's great.
Right? But it's it's exciting. Like
Yeah, so it's never exactly like the book. And
No.
anybody that complains about that needs to know that's 2 entirely separate entities. What works
Right.
in a book may not work in a movie, and vice
so-
versa.
And from my perspective, it's more like, so how do you say, hey, this book is getting made into a movie, and then have readers realize, well, it is like the core story of the book is what it is, right? So I don't want to like oversell and have them say, well, they didn't base it on the book because it's not. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
mean,
They're
that
not
is a-
going page
that
by
is a
page and
challenge.
reenacting
I
it.
think it's
Right.
a talent to take a book and write a script, and I think they did a great job doing it. So,
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. That's very awesome.
Credits.
Yeah.
right?
It's gonna be on the screen.
So some of you here are probably too young to know, and this is going to be my last thing so that I don't go over too much. But I remember back in the day, things were so different. If you wrote a book, we could go up to our mall and there were 3 or 4 different bookstores in that mall. Things have changed so much, and the shelf space for print books has shrunk. I mean, to where there's just almost no print shelf left. And everything seems to be about Amazon and digital books. And old gals like me have just had to really kind of move. Well, I don't, because I keep my note. All I do is write, and I let everybody else deal with that stuff. But I know there have been adjustments made, and I just kind of ignore them. But they're there, I know. Have any of you felt, we have to keep it brief, but have any of you felt the sting of those changes any for how the market has changed and the industry has changed? Does that make sense?
The sting of the
Right, so like there's less shelf space. There's,
Yes.
you know, you can't always find the books. When you can find them in a Walmart, it might only be the newest of the books.
Right.
And-
So just briefly, when I wrote Super Romances, they were always on the shelf. When I switched over to Heartwarming, not on the shelf. They've gone through 2 retail tests where they've been available in a physical brick and mortar store. So that has been different. So I was thrilled this year to sell to Grand Central Forever and get back into retail. So next year I'll be having books out. Woo woo.
Yeah.
Available everywhere. Yeah.
The Harlequin romance line hasn't been in bookstores in the United States for about 2 years because they're now considered a UK line. But one of the things that I have found the most interesting is when I'm golfing with somebody new or bowling with somebody new or go to a family reunion and they say, "Can I get any of your books?" It used to be I would have to say, "Well, no, you have to get them on the month they come out." Now I can say, "Sure, Amazon has all of them." You know, so that's something that's on the plus side because we hear so much about, you know, the negative side of the digital publishing, but really there were a lot of pluses that came out of it. Now, something that is on the negative side is that I have had to learn to do a million different things that I never thought I would have to do, including format my own books and consult on covers and create my own ads and all kinds of crazy things. And in some ways that makes you feel like a smarter person, but in other ways all it does is create a longer to-do list.
Just makes you more overwhelmed.
Yeah, more overwhelmed. Yeah.
Well, I'm coming from the other end because when I was first published in 2009, it was digital automatically. So this is with Entangled, it's digital first, and then you can order your print books, but they don't automatically go to, you know, Walmart or Target or Books A Million. So this was my first book that actually went straight to the shelf. So I trolled all the Walmarts.
Yeah.
To go into
There it is, and there it is. Yeah.
I did. I was very obnoxious.
Take your picture, selfie with all of them.
I sure
yeah.
did.
Well, sure, yeah.
So I'm on the opposite end of that.
Yeah, well, that's cool, though. I think most of us go and say, "Oh, look, there I am." Yeah.
I'm on that end as well because I first got published in 2005 with a digital publisher. And I mean, we did have some print copies, you know, they gave us and you could order them, but the more convenient way was just digital. So my digital numbers have always been better than my print numbers, just from the right straight out of the gate.
Yeah, and see, I'm just the opposite because I do much better in print than I do digital. I think because all my readers are as old as me and they like holding a book, right? I mean, a digital is a wonderful thing because you don't have to carry so much stuff. You can take a vacation and take 100 books and you've got one device, but I still like to hold a book. And a lot of my readers still do. Yeah, any of you still like holding books or do you like digital?
Yes.
I both.
Both?
I love to smell the pages.
Yeah, me too. It's just a whole. One more quick question, and it's got to be real. Does anybody crack the spine? Because I do when I read.
Okay, yes, I didn't want to be like bombarded and like get dirty first, but but I sure do.
I have to crack the spine to read it. You, Melissa?
Yeah. It's like popping open the cork on a bottle of wine.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
It's mine now.
Yeah. No one's borrowing this puppy. All right, so if anyone has any questions on Harlequin, these ladies, you could probably find them online. Everybody has Facebook and a website with their name, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Look them up. I'll have all the names listed with this video and send them a question. You guys will answer, correct?
Yes.
We will
Yes.
answer.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'm volunteering you up. You're not going to go home. There's going to be 1,000 questions. All right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.